I wanted to respond to the hundreds of responses I just got to a question that I posed to people. So I'm going to look at one of them today and try to get to as many as I can in the next couple days. So this person said, I'm very grateful for the work you do. Thank you. It's important to me, right? It's very meaningful to me to connect with you in this way. He said, it's really helped you and affirmed you in the work that you're doing. And you said what I've been working on the past year is getting pretty good at creating the pause before responding and reacting, which is excellent, right? That's so important. And why it is I'll talk about on recent videos, and I'll do a little bit on that here. But I want to keep going with the question. The pause allows me to consider what it is I want or how it relates or impacts me. The challenge is not knowing if the new thought or behavior is true to my authentic self. Because my stomach is full of knots with the pause, I'm not sure if I'm still reacting or if I'm just nervous about the outcome. And you say you're excited to see what I present in the video, so I figured, well, I may as well actually use your question to address it. So let's break this down because there's lots of bits and pieces to it. So first of all, the pause is important. And the reason why a pause is important is it allows a choice point, right? If we pause here, it allows us to assess the whole spectrum of things out there. And where do I want to go? Do I want to go in this direction? Or do I want to go in this direction? That's the benefit of the pause. We can step back and stop here and say, okay, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. So let's say the person that you're interacting with says something mean or hurtful, or is dismissive, or doesn't attend to us in a way that we want. That was one of the questions somebody was addressing earlier today. So what happens then? If I react, I'm going to be reacting out of my old, what I call the old familiar patterns, right? I'm going to respond in the same way. And what we know, you and I know, is that when I respond out of this old way, guess what happens? I end up in the same situation. I don't get someplace new. When I respond in the old way, the same thing kind of happens, right? So taking a moment to assess, do I want to do this? Do I want to try something different? Is the way out, right? It allows us to take some steps forward in a new direction. Now, what you can actually do in this is you can literally feel the reactivity come up and turn in a different direction. Try something different. What's it like if you're looking over there and you're reacting? What's it like to move here and just see something different and let your body begin to feel something different? Now, what happens if you can't pause? What if this reactivity is so instantaneous? And it often is, right? It often is. We start galloping down this path and we can't slow down. What if we, somewhere down this road, and it may even be all the way down here, we say, oh my gosh, I should have done it differently. What if we pause there? What if we stop there? Then we have an opportunity to take another path. We could keep going down the same old path, or we could try something different from there. That choice point is always an option. The habit that we've drawn is that we keep going down. So let's say we do it over and over and over the same old way, the same old time. Next time or afterwards, we can do a review. We'll be like, oh, yeah. Now, usually when we're doing the review, we beat ourselves up and we judge ourselves. We're mean to ourselves. As somebody said, we eviscerate ourselves. But what if instead of doing that, just pause and say, like, wow, that is what I always do, right? That's the old path that I'm always on. That's what I learned how to do. I haven't learned how to do it any different way. And instead of beating ourselves up, we do it differently. That's a different kind of choice point, isn't it? That's a different way of saying, I'm not going to go down this crummy path and beat myself up. So maybe I still reacted in the same way, but then afterwards, instead of doubling down on how bad it is, I actually start being a little bit more kind to myself, a little bit more welcoming, or a sense of goodness coming in. That's different ways of putting in the pause button that you say you're already doing, which I'm thrilled for. Right, so here's your question: is the challenge is not knowing if that is that I don't know if that new thought or behavior. So say I'm going down here, I pause first, right here. That's the first step. And then something comes up and I say, I don't know, should I follow this or not? Is this the behavior of my authentic self? Right? And what this person said is because my stomach is full of knots with the pause, right? So inside the belly, there's knots, right? There's a body sensation. And what I often say is in those moments, look and see what are the thoughts, the feelings, and the body sensation. So the knots are there, that's the body sensation. What are the feelings? And so interesting you said, I'm not sure if I'm still reactive or just nervous about the outcome, right? And in the Becoming Safely Embodied skills, we go through a whole exercise of looking at the different sensations, because sometimes the sensations could actually be excitement. But because we've had these certain sensations for so long, I've learned to label them like something bad instead of something that can be helpful or exciting or more positive. So it's learning how to slow it down so I can actually catch what's the thought, what's the feeling, what's the body sensation, and be with that and say, what is that not telling me? Now, here's the thing. You say, I don't know if this knot is my authentic self, right? I'm not sure if this knot is coming because it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Is it taking me down the old path or is it on the new path? And we don't know, right? You're only going to know by sitting with it and resonating. Some of it might be, oh, there's a knot. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling a knot in my belly right now. Just pausing and just staying with it. And what we're looking for is, can that knot rise, crest, and fall? Right? Can I let that be with myself in such a way that this knot actually can have some room? Now, sometimes it doesn't easily rise, crest, and fall. Sometimes we have to reassure our body, mind, and heart that it's okay to have sensation in our body. Like we're so used to pushing it away, denying it, rejecting it, dismissing it, shaming ourselves for having it, that we don't let ourselves, we tighten up around it thinking that's the way to get rid of it. But what if we actually make some room inside? I often talk about let your skin hold the experience. But instead of tightening up around this, actually make room inside. Make room inside so that you can actually have that experience in your body. Breathe your way through that. Breathe your way through that. Let that move. What happens? And then as you're making room for it, what comes in? And you can even be asking that knot inside of you, saying, are you my authentic self? Or is this old behavior? You know, am I setting myself up for a fall? Am I just reacting, or am I nervous about good things coming, or am I nervous about bad things? Right? You can ask inside. But then, of course, you have to pause and listen and wait for that response. Trying to think if there's anything more I want to say about that. Does this feel resonant? Is this helpful here? Do you have questions? I'm going to make sure that the person who asked this question also gets this, but I wanted to open this up for you as well and see. So if you do have questions, if it's not clear, let me know. I'm glad to keep trying to make it as small and granular as possible so it makes sense, so it's easily installable in your life, right? That it's easy for you actually to make sense of it. So there's that. I do want to tell you, and I think I forgot to say this, is that we're going to be opening up a short course on changing reactive patterns. So we're going to open that up. So I think anyway, I'll have to think of what the post is. I'm sorry, I should have that here, though, what the link is. I think it's patterns. If it's not, just let me know. Annette, you're saying, very good to think through. Yes, and let me know what questions you have, or as you go through it, Annette, if it makes sense and where it doesn't, because that's how we can all, working together, use the great mind to get more clear and have a wisdom. Lynette, you're having a great question. What would be a skill we could practice to make more room in our skin? So let's try that right here. So let's say that you're feeling something contracted inside your body. First thing is to notice where it is, and it could be as simple as asking, do I feel it in my upper lip, the contraction, or the whatever it is? Do I feel it in my eyebrow? Do I feel it in my earlobe? Do I feel it in my belly? Sometimes we ask, or at least I do it, I ask these sort of more outrageous questions, like where would it be? Is it in your hair? Because we get so used to thinking that whatever's going on is everything, but it's not. So first is to pause, slow down, see where it is. Maybe it's around our heart. Maybe it's a sense of around our body, right? So just stay with whatever that is. And then it helps to feel your body. Here I am, right? Makes sense. Feel your legs. Maybe feel your spine. Get a sense of where you are in space, right? And just be with that for a moment. This is you. Now, that state inside, how can you fill up from within, right? Let your body hold you. You can literally be holding yourself here and let your inner being, whatever that state is, fill up into the skin, right? Like you can hold yourself. Your skin can hold you. It doesn't have to overwhelm you. There can be room inside. There can be room inside for everything that's going on so that it can rise, crest, and fall, right? So I want to know how that practice works, if that's helpful, if you need more, right? Do you need it even more concrete than that, Lynette, or anybody else like that? Nicole is saying, what if your authentic self tells you to go against the grain? Wow, that's powerful, right? I have a big protest right now, and I know what I want and need. If you don't have a voice, then the anger and the frustration grows. It must be a big protest right now, right? Right. This such a powerful question, Nicole. And I don't know that there's a right answer to it. It's an inquiry. Right? What if your authentic self, and you really trust this authentic voice and presence inside that's coming up, what if it's saying, do something against the grain? How do you listen to that? How do you ask inside if your authentic self is saying to do? Say, break it down into smaller steps, make it more concrete for me so that I can do this. But then you also add in here, which is an important part of it, I have a big protest right now, and I know what I want, need. If I don't have a voice, then the anger and frustration grows, right? So then it sounds like attuning more. Like what is the want and need? And how can I make the want and need small enough so that I can actually breathe through it and make it small enough, is what my Sufi teachers would say, that it can be like water rolling around the boulders in the stream. And this is a hard test. It goes against the grain. We often don't know how to do that, but it's about being more fluid rather than, being contracted around something. So how do I make it so that instead of fighting against that protest, like if a protest comes up, often I then engage in some kind of protest with it. What if instead of doing that, let myself flow with it? Let myself flow with it and keep inviting and asking for guidance from within. Todd, you're saying, do you mean medium readings? I'm not sure what you mean there. I think I got to everybody there. So if you aren't on the mailing list and want to get some free resources, there's the Safe Guide, dfa.com Safe Guide, that you can always get that. And that also puts you on the mailing list, so you'll hear about anything that I do, any kind of courses or any of these recordings. You'll get them in your email. So let me know. I always want to hear how this worked and how, if this is helping, if I need to make it more granular, how I can step it down so that it can be even more helpful. So sending you a lot of love, a lot of blessings as we step by step make our way through it and learn about ourselves and grow, develop, and flourish.